guys are always asking me about the tools I use in my different YouTube videos, so today I thought I would do my top 10 tools in quilting. None of these are sponsored, so this really isn't an advertisement. It is me sharing my favorite. I thought I'd start with scissors. I love scissors, and I have tried all of them over the years, but I have found a favorite. These are Kai scissors, Kai. They are made in Japan. They're so sharp. These are also Kai scissors. One has a crooked blade that works when you're snipping threads, and one is straight. And this middle size, my favorite. I love this size for applique and other things. And if I had to only have one pair of scissors, it would be Kai, and I would have a hard time deciding between the biggest pair I'm using right now and the one I just set down. I love both of them so much. They're sharp, they're stiff enough, and yet they feel really ergonomically correct to me. After I learned about these scissors and came home and ordered them all, I've been tempted to order second and third pairs of them because I have more than one quilting room, and maybe I should have one in every room of my house. I love them. My next thing to talk about are cutters. These are my first two. I've never given them away. This is the last one. I ordered one of those heavyweight ones, and you know that red pair is the one I always use. This is my favorite. I use it in all my YouTube videos because even though I've tried the new ones, these are the best. They are ergonomical. They cost too much money. They have to have special blades that just only go with theirs. I have to order them because I don't know anyone local who carries them, but they're worth it to me. This is how you hold it. You hold it with your hands around and your finger on the top, and your wrist just is protected. It's amazing. The blade is so sharp. You can go through so many layers, and it's just so much easier to cut with them than it is other cutters. And so this is my favorite. It's called Martelli, and you can watch tutorials online with it. If you're left-handed, be sure to order a left-handed one. To go with a cutter, we have to talk about my favorite ruler. This is the Shape Cut by June Taylor, Tailor, and it has slots in it. I could not function without this. One time in a moment of carelessness, I threw it on a chair and sat on it, and then I broke one of them. So you see I have two. That's because I never, ever, ever want to have to live without one again. I always need a backup of this because I love this ruler so very much. The fabric's all folded up, and I'm checking the lines right there and lines across the top, and I'm just making sure it's as straight as possible. And after you've played with this ruler for a while, it gets really easy to line it up. You just slip that cutter blade in the groove, and you have to be really careful. You get muscle memory, and you just push straight forward, and it just cuts this perfect strip. And I do so much strip piecing where I cut many multiples of strips that I use this almost on a daily basis. You learn how to keep your fingertips up, how to make it so it doesn't move or shift, and there you are, quick, fast, fun. I just adore this ruler. You guys keep asking me where to buy a ruler like this. In the States, Walmart carries it, and they charge less than most places. You can use a coupon at Joann's. I imagine you can get online and order it. I haven't tried to do that. I've also seen it in quilt shops, so I'm sure if you have a local quilt shop, they could order it for you. I've seen and used many tools for cleaning up the lint and mess on your cutting board, and I've tried and used many of them, but my favorite, it really is packing tape. So it made the list of my favorite things because when I can't find where I set my packing tape, I'm really sad. I like to clean it all off, and it's just so fast, and it feels really thorough to me. And I must like how it feels to do it. Packing tape. I almost didn't show you this one, but it really is wonderful. It's made out of some kind of stone, maybe granite, I have no idea. And it's a ruler holder, and I have had wooden ones, but this one works so much better because it's so heavy. So it just holds everything so nicely, and it also, I don't know how it can get less dust on it than a wooden one, but maybe it just doesn't show the dust. I love how great it is. I love the spacing. I love how well it holds the rulers. I found it in a quilt shop, and I looked so that I could tell you where to go buy one, and I couldn't even find them. So if one of you has access or knows where to find these, if you'll put it in the comments so that everybody else can find how they can get one too, I love it. Speaking of holders, the next thing on my list is this thread holder that I use every single time I sew. I like to buy my spools of thread and have them be tall and big, and so this works wonderfully. It's made of hickory, it's just cut across, and it's very, very stable. The bark is still on it, and I just think it's beautiful. I tried to talk about all the features of it, and when I talk, I'm so not a carpenter that I just sound like I'm dumb. If you show this to somebody who works with wood, I'm sure they can make it. The friend who made it for me made it because I showed him one that I saw, and he just fixed it, cut it, put the little softy things that go on your desk on it, and it is marvelous. It holds the spools. It has to have enough space between the holder part and the little hook part so that your thread can easily come off it, and so that whatever width your thread is can go over it and not get caught up. I have two because that's how much I love it, and when friends come, I often lend them one, but I don't ever let them take it home with them. Yes, my Kindle really is the next tool on the list because I love it, the worn out cover and all. My Kindle has books on it to listen to, well, whatever books I put on it. It has books, it has music, it has wireless headphones that go with it. My favorite are the ones on the edge, they're the Beats. They help distract my brain so that I don't get bored. If there's a boring part of quilting that I know really well, somehow having a book in my ear helps me just keep going. If I'm listening to something, it helps me power through. Now, I have some friends that say that they can't listen to a book and quilt at the same time, and I understand that. So try just listening to music. It helps a lot. My iron. I love to press when I quilt. I've tried lots of irons. I don't like the expensive quilters irons. I just like cheap, wonderful irons that get really, really hot. I want the sole plate part to not have grooves in it. I want it to be flat. So this one just has tiny holes in it. It's very light. I don't want hefty heaviness. I just want it to get really hot. I want a really long cord because that is helpful when I'm working. It isn't about the brand for me. Once I find one, I buy more than one because I never want my iron to go out and not have a backup. That's happened to me before, so I always keep a spare. I just love cheap irons. I don't feel bad when they die. I used to put steam in my irons, but I don't anymore. Now I use Best Press. My friend introduced me to it. She gave me this little homemade spray bottle with my name on it. I don't know where she got the spray bottle, but I love the spray bottle. And I just refill it with Best Press. I don't use it very often. I only use it when there's really amazing amount of wrinkles and they're bugging me for some major reason. Usually it feels like I just press it and it's good enough. So I'm showing you on this printed one, I press it, and because it was so wrinkly and so stuck in, I thought I'd want to use Best Press, but after I pressed it, I was like, oh, look, a little line barely, but it's so busy. I would never use Best Press on this in real life. So here's a plain colored one, and this one I would, especially if I were going to do applique or embroidery with it. That line would bug me. So that's when I break out the Best Press. And I just spray it a little, mostly mist. However, I got really close, so it gets blotchy, but it works. So pressing it, it just takes the creases right out. Again, I don't know why I didn't learn this earlier, and I don't use it very often, but when I need it, I'm so glad to have it. I didn't put these tools in any particular order, but I think I might have saved the best to last. This is my big board. It goes on top of my ironing board. I'm showing you how it's made. It's just a big rectangle of wood. You can take your ironing board and measure how big you want your rectangle to be. You can see the 1x1s in there that keep the ironing board within the space of them so that it just latches on. I've never had it tip over. I've never had it fall off. If you decide to make one of these for yourself, I'm going to show you how. This this was my first cover. It was denim. This is 2 layers of 100% cotton batting. And that's what I put under the ironing board. And it worked perfectly for years and years. And then I got tired that I stained the denim so much. And so here it is. You can see how stained it is. Instead of taking it off, I just keep recovering it. So I took the last 2 off just because I don't want them. This is my new cover, so I'm going to be able to stand looking at it again because it's been dirty from when I moved, and so I needed it to be clean and fresh. If you are a true upholsterer and you know what you're doing, you might not want to watch the rest of this because I'm just making it up. This is how I cover it. I just cut it to size so that I can fold it under and staple it. So this is the first side. I pull it straight and taut, and then I'm getting the second side ready, and I'm making sure that all the fabric is snug. You don't want it to have any excess fabric on the front. I have a little helper. It's nice if 2 people do this, 1 person to hold it, 1 person to staple. And you can see that it's working really well. So now I do the 4 sides. I don't do the corners till last, and I just tuck it under because I don't want strands of thread coming off the fabric and bugging me underneath of it. And so here I go. If you haven't covered yours at all, you just put the batting on and then fabric, and you do just what you're watching me do. These corners, I just make them work. You want it to take all the excess from the corner up and you staple it down, and then I like to hammer it and get it there. I don't care really what it looks like because nobody's ever going to see the bottom, not even me. I just only see the top. And there's one little crease that I didn't iron out because I didn't iron it. It's going to be ironed a million times, so who cares? It will work in the end. Why do I love my big board so? Because it's so big. It provides so much space for pressing blocks and borders. I just wouldn't want to quilt without it ever. So this is the end of my 10 tools, and I could have said 40. It was really hard. So these are just the ones I decided were most important, and some of them are things you've been asking about. I would love to hear what your favorite tools are. I hope you leave a comment and a thumbs up. Stay merry and creative.